The bathroom's dead, quiet except for the slow drip from the tap. Then, bam, a pill bottle hits the tile, spilling capsules everywhere. Zoom in, it's painkillers scattered like someone just lost their grip, or maybe their will. Someone standing on a shaky stack of books, sobbing. On the desk nearby, an unfinished last will, pinned still in place, like they were ready to sign their final goodbye. A rope hangs from the railing, and she's gripping it tight, tears streaming down as she whispers an apology to her mom. Standing on a pile of books, she chokes out that she can't go on anymore. She's breaking down, shouting she's had enough, questioning why life's been so cruel. Tears fall as the rope tightens around her neck. Then, she kicks the stack of books away, and they crash to the ground. The rope jerks tight, and she gasps in pain, clawing at it as her body struggles. Her mind whispers that it's over, tears streaming as she believes this is the end. On the floor, a photo lies among her things, showing her back in school, smiling beside friends. A bittersweet reminder of better days now lost. March 2008. At a prestigious high school, the atmosphere shifts as the teacher tells the class to behave. A new student is about to walk in. The class buzzes with excitement over the new student, throwing out comments and jokes. When she walks in, the boys instantly start calling her cute, arguing over who gets to claim her, while she stands there awkward and uneasy. The class keeps whispering about her looks, while one girl takes special notice. The teacher introduces her as Joyce, a year older because she studied abroad, though she quickly corrects that it wasn't for studying. The class reacts with curiosity, impressed she's been overseas. The teacher pushes her to introduce herself, and Joyce nervously greets the class, saying she hopes to be friends despite being older. She thanks them with a shy bow, and the room erupts in cheers, whistles, and playful shouts. The teacher tells her to take the back seat, and as she walks past the rows, whispers ripple through the class, eyes following her every step. She recalls moving to the States with her mom to escape hardship in Korea, only to be scammed by a cousin and forced back within 6 months. It wasn't for studying, it was a nightmare. Now, she's stuck as a repeat student, a year older than everyone else in class. She's already hating the situation, when the girl next to her suddenly fires off questions about speaking multiple languages, her pale skin, and fancy products from abroad. Flustered, Joyce admits she doesn't use anything special, then awkwardly realizes even her baby lotion might be from overseas. The girl next to her beams, declaring they should be best friends and calling her amazing. Joyce, caught off guard, smiles shyly and agrees, telling her not to worry about the age gap. The girl introduces herself as Sydney Kim, telling Joyce to call her Sid. Joyce politely says it's nice to meet her, and Sid responds with a bright grin, leaving Joyce quietly staring back. The bell rings, signaling the end of class, and immediately her desk gets swarmed. Everyone's throwing questions at her about her time overseas, her skin, and whether she's rich. She's caught off guard, fidgeting as she tries to answer but can't keep up. Sydney snaps, telling everyone to back off and form a line if they have questions, acting like Joyce's personal bodyguard. Without hesitation, she grabs Joyce's hand and drags her away, declaring herself her manager. The crowd watches, stunned, some annoyed, others whispering about how sophisticated Joyce seems compared to them. As they walk, Sydney's hyping her up, showing her around the school, and even suggesting they hit up the snack bar for some burgers. But Joyce freezes. She's broke and can barely afford a ride home. Sydney drags Joyce down the hall, urging her to keep up. At the snack bar, other students are shouting their own orders over the noise. Then Sydney barges in, cutting through the chatter, yelling for 2 burgers and making sure everyone knows they're a rush, while Joyce stands there looking uneasy. They grab the burgers, but then her friend suddenly yells for Joyce to pay. Joyce freezes, fumbling for her wallet. She opens it, realizing she barely has any cash, and panic hits. She's stuck wondering what to do. Her friend freezes for a second, realizing Joyce might not have enough money. Then, with a quick smile, she jumps in, saying she'll cover it since she got pocket money today. Joyce just stands there, speechless, feeling a mix of relief and surprise. Joyce and Sydney are chilling on a bench, burgers in hand. Joyce thanks her and promises, "I'll buy next time," and Sydney just grins, telling her, "Okay, now try it." As Joyce lifts the burger, memories flood in, the debt, moving houses, repeating a year, all the rough patches. She finally takes a bite, and her eyes light up. "It's so good," she says, and Sydney laughs. "Right? Right." Joyce smiles softly, "Yeah," feeling that warmth sink in. In her head, she thinks, Sydney Kim, she was the first friend I made. The two sit there, side by side, enjoying the view as the city skyline glows behind them, savoring both the burgers and the moment. The school bell rings, and everyone starts heading out. Sydney runs up to Joyce, asking if they can hang out, but Joyce apologetically says she has to head straight home. Sydney pouts, saying she wanted to hit karaoke and take pictures together. Joyce reassures her they'll do it next time. A group of guys spot Joyce and start asking Sydney if she's the new girl, already hyping her up about how attractive she is. Sydney immediately shuts them down, telling them Joyce is way out of their league because she studied overseas, while Joyce tries to correct her. The guys, instead of backing off, get even more impressed, thinking she's now on another level. One of the guys steps up, greets Joyce with a friendly hello, while his friend just stares silently. Joyce, caught off guard and blushing, shyly stammers out a soft hi. Sydney quickly pulls Joyce away, telling the guys to back off because she needs to go home. Joyce stays quiet, glancing over her shoulder with a faint blush. The guys keep talking about how pretty she is, but Tay just shuts him down, saying to drop it. Then Tay glances back with a smirk while the other guy looks serious. And meanwhile, Joyce walks off with her friend. Sydney points out Taylor and Greg, then calls the skinny guy Quagmire and a loser. Joyce says that's kind of mean, but Sydney brushes it off, mentioning her overseas background. Joyce corrects her, saying she never studied abroad. Joyce walks home, still processing the chaos of the day, but feeling grateful Sydney had her back. She steps inside, calling out to her aunt, who greets her warmly and tells her to rest. Joyce walks in, only to hear chaos from inside. Someone screaming for her help, claiming their mom's trying to kill them. From inside, a loud crash echoes and an angry voice yells back, telling them to shut up. Joyce hears someone inside yelling for her help. But instead of stepping in, she quietly shuts the door and walks downstairs, thinking to herself that they haven't changed a bit. It all feels like déjà vu. Joyce heads downstairs, then slips into her room, locking the door behind her and tossing her bag to the floor. Joyce opens the fridge, grabs some food, and thinks about how good that burger from school was, planning to get one for Sydney tomorrow. She sits on the floor, eating and studying, deciding she'll have to cut back on bus rides to save money. Staring at the ceiling with a sigh, Joyce crashes on her bed. She thinks about how getting scammed and losing everything felt unreal, and now, living in a semi-basement like it's straight out of a movie has become her reality. Joyce tries to convince herself things can't get worse. But the next moment, she's the one chained up, struggling and gasping as the rope jerks violently around her neck. Joyce mutters to herself, admitting she was too young back then, thinking things could only get better, even though they could have gone way worse. If she dies now, things really can't get any worse than they already are. The rope holding her suddenly snaps, sending her crashing down and rolling across the floor in pain and shock. Joyce is gasping for air, drenched in sweat, her body trembling. She slowly lifts her head, disbelief in her eyes. Indy mutters under her breath, half in shock, half in frustration, wondering what the hell just happened. Joyce, still trembling, breaks down. She can't believe even ending things isn't in her control. Her voice cracks as she grits her teeth, screaming out in frustration, why? Joyce's eyes lock onto an old photo, tears dripping onto it as she hiccups. Her voice trembling with a soft why. The image shows her with her old friends, but now those smiles feel like knives, each drop of her tears blurring the past she once cherished. The scene cuts to the school building, then shifts inside the bathroom where Joyce is washing her hands. Out of nowhere, Another girl walks in and calls her name. She sizes Joyce up, asking if she's that overseas transfer student, introducing herself as Mia from Class 8. Joyce tries to keep it polite, telling the girl to just call her by her name. But Mia leans in with this smug smile, complimenting her looks and throwing in weird questions about her popularity back in the States. Before Joyce can even process it, Mia's expression shifts and she drops a sharp question. Does Joyce know how to fight? Sydney suddenly comes out of the stall. Telling Joyce she's done and it's time to go, Mia casually asks if Sydney was just pooping. Sydney grabs Joyce's hand and pulls her away. Mia tries to stop them, but Sydney turns back with a deadly glare, warning her to back off or face the consequences. Mia just grins, clearly amused. The two girls walk out together, leaving Mia behind, and she just stands there with a smug smirk. Sydney drags Joyce out of the bathroom, gripping her hand so tight Joyce complains it hurts. Sydney stops, warning her that the girl they just left is completely crazy and to stay away from her no matter what. But Joyce says she can't do that. Sydney tells Joyce to just trust her on this one, basically forcing the promise out of her. Joyce is left frozen for a moment. Sydney leans in again, repeating her okay, but this time with even more pressure. Joyce, clearly panicking, stammers out an okay, just to ease the tension. Shifting to a quiet street, Sydney is all cheerful, hyping up Joyce about meeting her super nice and loyal friends from the school next door. Soon enough, Sydney spots them and drags Joyce over, proudly announcing that they came just to meet her. Sydney calls out the girls and warns them this isn't their school. One of them asks if Joyce is the one, another calls her hot, and the last says Sydney's got herself a good catch. Sydney snaps back, threatening to kill them if they make Joyce uncomfortable. Sydney proudly introduces Joyce to her group of friends, saying they should all hang out together from now on. Joyce, still uneasy, forces out an okay. The scene jumps to a snack bar, where the group is hanging out, chatting loud and laughing. One of the girls starts spilling a story about beating someone up, bragging about how she didn't let them off easy, while the others are hyped, laughing, and throwing in their own reactions. A couple nearby gets annoyed, but the girls instantly snap back, throwing insults and acting tough. The guy brushes it off, muttering about kids these days, while his girlfriend tries to calm him down. Joyce is sitting there, clearly uneasy, realizing Sydney's friend group isn't just loud. They're straight up intimidating. They roll up to a karaoke joint. The moment they get inside, the others grab mics and go full concert mode, screaming lyrics and dancing like it's their stage. Meanwhile, she's stuck in the corner, lost because she doesn't recognize a single song. Sydney suddenly grabs Joyce's hand, shoving a mic at her, telling her to sing. Joyce panics, saying she doesn't know many songs, but she insists, telling her to just sing anything. One of the girls suddenly offers Joyce a cigarette, asking if she wants one. Joyce quickly refuses, saying she doesn't smoke, but they just smirk and tell her she can learn right now, pushing her to give it a try. Joyce tries to laugh it off, saying maybe next time. Sydney jumps in, wrapping an arm around her and calling out the others for pressuring her. They defend themselves, saying they were just offering her something good, but also tease her for being too shy. The bass from the karaoke room is shaking the hallway, and some dude outside is hyping himself up like he's at a concert. Then two guys walk in. One's all smug, bragging that Sydney's the only one who can hit that crazy note, while the other asking if he's been stalking her or something. Everyone greets Tay like he's the life of the party. Then Sydney pulls Tay in with a big smile, telling him he's always welcome. Tay glances over at Joyce. The guy shoves the mic toward her, asking what she wants him to sing, and Joyce nervously says anything's fine. Sydney catches Tay's gaze and realizes he's staring at someone. Then she sees it. He's been looking at Joyce. As everyone's saying their goodbyes, Joyce is walking home, totally drained from the day. She glances over and catches Tay looking back at her. Then he smirks, and she spins away, blushing hard, trying to hide her flustered face. One guy jokes about loving Joyce's gang, but she quickly corrects him, saying it's a crew. Then the conversation shifts. He calls Joyce super pretty and sophisticated, reminding everyone she studied abroad. They turn to Tay for his opinion, and he pauses, clearly thinking before answering. Sydney, clearly tense, waiting for Tay's response. Tay starts complimenting Joyce, saying she feels more mature than the rest. Sydney plays along with a nervous laugh, agreeing and asking if Tay also thinks she's different. Tay finally gives his answer, agreeing that Joyce is pretty. Sydney clenches her fist, holding back her emotions, and looks down, clearly bothered by his words. The next morning, Joyce walks in and sees Sydney's already in class, head down on her desk. And Joyce asks her if she got home safe. Sydney answers shortly. Concerned, Joyce asks if she's feeling okay, but Sydney brushes it off, saying she's fine. Joyce figures Sydney might just be in a bad mood today. But then the classroom door slams open. Two boys walks in, greet Joyce with big smiles. Sydney's eyes widen in surprise as she looks up at them. One of the guys asks Joyce for her number, and another chimes in wanting it too, since they're friends now. The guys start laughing and joking around while exchanging numbers. Meanwhile, Sydney suddenly springs up from her seat. Sydney suddenly starts walking off. Joyce calls out, confused, asking where she's going, but Sydney doesn't respond. Joyce just sits there, watching her leave with a worried look. Sydney heads up the stairs, but as Joyce follows to check on her, she's confused. Sydney's nowhere in sight. Then, turning the corner, she suddenly spots someone. The girl stands there and says, "Hey, girl." Joyce freezes for a moment, recognizing her instantly, her voice trembling as she says, "Ah." Joyce tries to rush off, apologizing as she passes, but the girl tells her to stop. Joyce freezes mid-step, confused and a bit anxious. Mia tells her to ditch Sydney and stick with her instead. Joyce asks what she means. Mia calls Sydney and her gang Pecho and says to hang out with her. Mia leans in with a smirk, her voice low as she says, "You're gonna suffer if you keep hanging out with her." Joyce admits how much Mia scares her. Then she suddenly panics, blurts out an excuse, and rushes off. Mia just stands there quietly, watching her leave without moving a step. As Joyce pushes the door open to escape, Mia coldly thinks to herself, another life ruined. Joyce finally finds her on the rooftop. She notices she doesn't look too good and asks if she's all right. But the girl just brushes it off, saying she skipped breakfast and it's nothing to worry about. Joyce quickly offers to treat her a burger, but Sydney shuts it down cold, saying she's not hungry. Before Joyce asks her anything, she says she's fine, but her tone is sharp as she bumps past Joyce. The door slams shut behind her. Watching her leave, Joyce can't shake the uneasy feeling. Class is dragging on. The teacher's going off with her lecture while Sydney's just spacing out. As lecture ends, Sydney stands up and leaves the classroom without a word. Joyce and Sydney are sitting together at lunch, but the vibe is super awkward. The tension between them is heavy, and Joyce's worried expression says it all. As school ends, Joyce tells Sydney to rest up and that she'll see her tomorrow. Sydney then blurts out Joyce's name. Joyce smiles brightly and asks what it is, ready to listen. Sydney suddenly blurts out if she can crash at Joyce's place for the night. Joyce is caught off guard, stuttering in shock, totally not expecting that kind of request. Joyce tries to brush it off by saying her place is too small and lame, but Sydney asks if that's a rejection. Joyce immediately says that they should totally go to her house. Joyce brings Sydney to her small house, lays blankets on the floor, and notices Sydney looks unwell. She decides to make her porridge. Joyce tells her to wait while she goes to make some food. Meanwhile, Sydney looks around the house, noticing how plain and run down it is. When Joyce opens a broken cabinet, Sydney blurts out that she thought people who studied overseas were supposed to be rich. Sydney suddenly opens the door and steps out, which makes Joyce stop and ask why she came out. Sydney just says she'll be out for a minute. Joyce assumes maybe she just went out for a smoke. Time keeps passing, and Sydney still hasn't come back. Joyce sits there staring at the clock, getting restless, wondering why Sydney's taking so long. Joyce's mind starts spiraling, thinking maybe she left because the house was a mess. But just as she's stressing, Sydney barges back in, hyped up and holding bags full of stuff. Sydney drops the bomb. She went shopping because it's her first time visiting and she felt bad for not bringing a gift. Joyce panics even more, telling her she didn't need to buy anything, especially not that much. Joyce is feeling guilty cause all she has to offer is some plain porridge. Sydney keeps smiling and telling her not to feel bad. Sydney stuffs the fridge with all the food she bought while Joyce thanks her sincerely. Sydney happily thanks Joyce for the porridge, saying it smells amazing. But Joyce quickly cuts in, worried it might have gone cold, and insists on heating it up for her. Later that night, Joyce reflects to herself that she never truly understood what Sydney was really thinking deep down. Sydney assumes Joyce must have been rich since she studied overseas. But Joyce explains her family actually went broke, and she came back with even more debt. Sydney feels bad after hearing this, apologizing, but Joyce brushes it off, confused why she's sorry. She admits she just feels that way. Joyce tells Sydney how worried she was the whole day, but Sydney brushes it off like it's nothing, saying she's used to it. Then out of nowhere, Sydney squeezes her tight. Joyce laughs, telling Sydney it tickles, while Sydney just smiles and thanked her for caring so much. Sydney starts messing around, tickling Joyce while laughing, and Joyce struggles, begging her to stop. Their playful screams echo through the room. But what they don't realize is someone outside hears them. One of them stays silent and calm, while the other one grins creepily and asks if they're just going to keep waiting there. The two girls are just messing around on the bed, laughing and tickling each other. But suddenly, there's loud banging on the window, and a voice yells out, calling one of them Hottie. Sydney realizes it's Quagmire and questions how he even managed to find their house. Sydney rushed to the window, demanding answers, clearly pissed about someone showing up uninvited. Quagmire says he's only here because Taylor wanted to talk to Joyce. Sydney is confused. Taylor? What could he possibly have to say to her? Taylor and Joyce sitting awkwardly on the steps under the streetlight. Joyce looks at him directly, asking what he wanted to say. Taylor, clearly nervous, starts fumbling with his words, blushing and scratching his head. He tells her that the moment he saw her, he just knew she was the one. He's been holding it in, but couldn't wait any longer, so he's confessing right now. Joyce is caught completely off guard. Her brain basically short-circuits. She's like, wait, what? Joyce says, I'm your one. And you're confessing right now. She can't even process it properly, blushing so hard, while he admits he wants to be her boyfriend and swears he could be a good one. Tay finally blurts it out and asks her straight up to be his girlfriend, face burning red. She's caught off guard, stuttering, not knowing what to say. Sydney asks why Tay showed up so late at night. Quagmire starts laughing, saying Tay's actually confessing to her right now. Taylor's friends spill the tea. Turns out he followed Joyce all the way home, but was too nervous to confess earlier. Sydney's expression hardens as she realizes Taylor actually likes Joyce. Quagmire even teased that Taylor must have fallen for her at first sight, and that makes Sydney clench her fists in frustration. Deep inside, she's burning. Taylor never noticed her, even when she tried to make her feelings obvious. He doesn't even know Joyce properly and only fell for her looks. Her anger boils over as she says that she can't accept this. Taylor awkwardly says goodbye to Joyce after his sudden confession, and she heads inside, still flustered. Quagmire playfully waves her off, joking around while she asks about Sydney. He explains Sydney left early because something came up at home, leaving Joyce a little surprised but accepting the excuse. Joyce is lying in bed, still shocked that Taylor actually asked her out. She's blushing, overthinking, and realizing they've never even had a real conversation before. Now she's stressing about how awkward it's going to be tomorrow, unable to calm down as she hides under her blanket. So after that whole awkward night, Joyce is like, screw it, I'll just sleep. But little does she know, that moment literally flips her whole life. From then on, things don't get better, they get worse. Way worse. Joyce is walking through school, trying to mind her own business while everyone else is just chatting and laughing around her. She picks up her pace, but then suddenly someone bumps into her out of nowhere. Joyce gets knocked down hard, letting out a scream as she hits the ground. The girl who shoved her smirks, throwing a fake oops, sorry, while Joyce sits there in pain, realizing it was totally on purpose. She's catching her breath, thinking she almost got launched across the street. But before she can relax, someone yells out, "Hey, watch out!" Out of nowhere, a girl on a bike swerves past her, and the drink that biker is holding spills everywhere, splashing all over her uniform. She lets out a panic scream. The biker doesn't even slow down, just shouts a half-baked sorry, while riding off laughing, leaving her drenched and standing there in shock. She looks down at her stained uniform, desperately wiping at it, and mutters in frustration, "Ugh, what's going on today?" Like the universe is straight up targeting her. Sydney's friend is like, "Hey, why'd you just leave yesterday? Did your parents call you, or something?" Sydney nods, saying her dad did. Her friend doesn't waste time, hitting her with, "Anyway, what did Taylor say to you last night?" Joyce freezes for a sec, caught off guard, then forces a little smile. She plays it cool like, "Oh, nothing special." Sydney is like, "Come on, spill it already." And Sydney's face is red as she admits, "Ha, he kinda asked me out." Sydney's eyes sparkle as she leans in, grinning wide. "Oh, and what did you say?" Joyce just slumps, looking done with life. "Of course I said no. I barely even know the guy." Sydney's hyping it up, like, "Girl, you dumped the most popular dude?" Joyce panics, says nah. She just turned it down because it felt weird. Random guy barges in, yelling Tay's depressed cause Joyce rejected him. He flips it, shoots his own shot with Joyce in front of everyone. Sydney's freaking out. Joyce is embarrassed like crazy. The dude leans in, straight up desperate, like, "Yo, everyone's gonna know anyway, so what about me?" Joyce just stares, low-key shocked. Meanwhile, the class is buzzing. "Wait," Taylor asked Joyce out, and she turned him down. The whispers spread like wildfire. People are already debating. They'd be such a cute couple. Versus nah, Taylor's way better. And Joyce, she's just sitting there thinking, "Bro, this is not how I thought it'd go down." Sydney's friends peek into the classroom, catching the whole awkward scene. They're like, "Yo, we here. Let's dip to the snack bar." Sydney jumps on the chance to escape and quickly says, "Yeah, okay." Joyce notices the two girls peeking from a door. She turns, confused, thinking, huh? Those girls are. Close-up of the two girls, both giving unsettling looks. Joyce sweats nervously, realizing they both knew Sydney. What a weird coincidence. Tay's friends are crowding around him, trying to cheer him up after being rejected. Tay is bawling dramatically, saying life feels meaningless now. Another classmate comments casually, while Tay keeps crying that he's doomed. The two mean girls are whispering, salty because Joyce ignored Mia. They walk up confidently, one of them straight up saying girls like Joyce deserve a beating. Their footsteps echo as they approach Joyce's classroom. They call out to her, "Hey, Joyce, come with us." Joyce looks startled and nervous. Joyce gets shoved hard, stumbling back in shock, completely caught off guard. The blonde girl yells at Joyce, accusing her of disrespecting Mia's offer, while Joyce nervously stammers, confused about what offer they're talking about. Joyce looks scared and uneasy, thinking to herself that these girls are terrifying and wondering why Mia keeps targeting her. Mia's glare cuts through like a knife, her voice cold. "You should have listened when I asked nicely." The girl panics. "It had nothing to do with Sydney. I just didn't think we'd get along." Suddenly, one of them yanks her hair hard. "Hey, how would you know? Just do as we say." She screams, "Kia, what are you doing?" They slam her against the wall, Mia smirking. "Didn't know you could refuse with that innocent little face." The girl cries out, This can't make us friends. Please don't do this." She's getting slapped hard across the face, eyes squeezed shut in pain. The sound effect slap hits like a whip. The bullies are screaming at her now. One yells if she's out of her mind. Another mocks her like she's a joke. BMC cries out in shock as their rage piles on. Her hair is yanked, her body shoved. She's being tossed around like a rag doll. In her head, she's spiraling. "They're never going to stop. If I don't do something, this hell will never end." Her face is twisted in pain as she thinks, "I can't stand this anymore." She finally snaps, shoving the blonde girl back with all her strength, yelling, "I said stop." The whole vibe shifts from victim to fight back mode. The bullies freeze for a second, then rage boils up. One of them screams, "Did you just hit me, bitch?" Another sneers. You think Sydney's going to save you? Let's beat her up. They're not backing off. They're ready to double down. The fight explodes. She's on the ground, covering her head, while kicks and stomps rain down. Wild dogs need to be beaten up. One of them yells while another shouts, let's ruin her face. The mob is going feral, and she's trapped under their cruelty. She's on the ground, clutching her head, screams of pain slipping out. Kia. Stop. But no mercy. Fists keep raining down on her. The so-called leader of the bullies just stands there, arms crossed, looking down coldly. No reaction. No empathy. Just that deadpan stare, as if the violence is a boring show she's seen 1,000 times. Boots slam in her ribs. Stomp, stomp. She curls up tighter, gasping. Her thoughts spiral. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Broken, humiliated, her spirits on the edge of snapping. Slam! Something loud crashes, instantly halting the bullies mid-attack. Everyone freezes, turning their heads in shock. The girls look stunned, blurting out, while the victim stays crumpled on the ground. Tension spikes as someone unexpected steps in. A guy walks up casually, hands in pockets, completely calm. With a sharp look, he says, ganging up on one girl? How cheap. The bullies instantly panic, scrambling for excuses, acting like they were the victims. The black-haired girl just stands there, arms crossed, not even bothering to argue. The beaten girl glances up at Greg, staying quiet but clearly hoping he'll step in. Greg doesn't waste time. He shrugs, flips through his book, and casually drops that a teacher's on the way. The bullies freeze, freaking out at the thought of getting caught. The bullies back off, saying they'll deal with her later. The leader smirks, threatening her to join before the week ends or face the consequences. The beaten girl stays silent, glaring with determination. The bullies back off, cursing as they leave, while the girl can barely stand, clutching her arm in pain. She mutters to herself, exhausted, when suddenly, silence. The guy who saved her is still there, just watching. Their eyes meet, heavy with unspoken words. She nervously thanks Greg, saying she would have been done for without him. Greg recognizes her, recalling they met briefly through Taylor and Quagmire. Greg brushes it off, saying he didn't do it for her, but she insists they leave before a teacher misunderstands and blames him. She looks shocked, eyes wide as she realizes what he just said. She stutters, Oh, really? Still not believing it. Her bruised face softens a little. Greg scratches the back of his neck, pretending it's nothing, but she laughs in relief. So you did help me. She runs off, yelling, Thanks, Greg, while the shot cuts to the open sky with a plane flying past, like her words are echoing in the air. She's walking down the hall, holding her cheek. Damn, I've never been hit like this before. It actually hurts. She suddenly notices people around her whispering and staring. She looks nervous, covering her face a bit. Wait, are they all staring at me? Can they tell I got hit? The girl walks away, her back to the camera with the text box. I was stupidly mistaken. Two students are whispering. One says, Hey, did you hear about the new girl? Apparently, she's a total psycho. The other confirms, Yeah, I heard too. She even lied about studying abroad. Or students are talking about her. One says she was expelled for dating her PE teacher, while another screams, Oh my God. She even hit on Tay a few days ago. What a psychotic freak. I hate her. The squad is totally gossiping about Joyce, the MC, claiming she's got wounds on her face because she tried to come between Mia and Sydney. Everyone's wondering why she would even do that, with one person even calling her a psycho. Joyce overhears everything and is completely shook. She's thinking to herself, What's with all these strange rumors? I'm not that kind of person. As she's processing all the rumors, someone bumps into her from behind. She lets out a startled sound, KYA. The guy she bumped into totally flips out, yelling at her to watch where she's going. Joyce apologizes nervously. As Joyce walks away, she can hear people laughing at her. She gets all teary-eyed. Just as she's about to lose it, her friend Sydney shows up with a huge smile and greets her, asking why she's a bit late today. Joyce explains to Sydney that she's late because she started a morning milk delivery job. Sydney is totally shook, asking if that's even still a thing and saying it sounds like a lot of work. Joyce, looking worried, asks Sydney if she's heard the crazy rumors. Sydney, with a big smile, brushes it off, saying all popular people deal with that, and she has tons of rumors about her too. Joyce, looking sad, tries to say the rumors are a bit harsh, and people keep bumping into her. Sydney cuts her off with a big squeeze, telling her to just ignore them because she's got her back. Joyce is so relieved she hugs her back, saying, "You're right. I'm so glad I have you." Sydney gives Joyce a super warm hug and a knowing smile, telling her to just trust her. But even with Sydney's words, Joyce still has doubts. She thinks to herself, "I hope it's okay to ignore them all." Sydney's face has this super sinister look as she thinks to herself, "People will find out it's all a lie soon." Suddenly, out of nowhere, someone yanks Sydney's hair from behind. It's Mia, the girl from all the rumors. She's got this creepy smile and tells Sydney, "You never change, do you?" While Joyce looks on, totally shocked. Mia confronts Joyce, asking if she's going to keep ignoring her after being told to join her crew by the end of the week. Sydney lashes out, yelling at Mia, who then shoves her head aside. Joyce stands there, totally shocked by the whole situation. Mia stares Sydney down with a scary look, asking if she's trying to pick a fight with her. Mia taunts Sydney, asking if she's mad about the hair pull or because Mia is going after her prey. The prey, of course, is Joyce, who is totally shook. Sydney proposes a fight in the storage room to remind Mia of their middle school days. Mia accepts the challenge with a creepy smile, telling Sydney, "Let's see if you've still got it." We get a close-up of Joyce's face, who looks completely shocked as she realizes she's the center of all this drama. The entire school is buzzing about the drama. People are gossiping about Sydney and Mia, and some are even saying Sydney used to be able to beat Mia back in middle school. Other people are skeptical, saying no one can beat Mia. In the background, Joyce is seen heading towards the storage room where the fight is about to go down. Joyce looks super stressed and begs Sydney not to go, asking her, "Do you really have to do this?" Sydney turns to Joyce, telling her not to worry and to stay out here. She says she'll K her up so she can't bother you after today. The door slams, leaving Joyce all alone in the hallway, totally shocked. Sydney walks into the storage room, leaving Joyce behind, and the door clacks shut. Inside the storage room, Sydney tells Mia she has to give up on Joyce and keep a low profile if she loses. Mia accepts, teasing Sydney about how she can't stand having what's hers taken away. Sydney looks totally pissed off and tells Mia to shut up and come at me. Mia smirks, telling Sydney the fight won't be like their old ones. With a powerful move, Mia rushes forward and the fight officially begins. Her expression is pure panic as she whispers Sydney's name, knowing her friend is in there. Suddenly, a loud bang echoes from inside the storage room. Joyce, who is waiting outside, hears a crash and a thwack and looks totally freaked out, realizing how bad the fight is getting. Joyce narrates that she just stood there for a while, listening to them fight. She goes on to say she had no clue why they were fighting over her, or what was even on their minds, and all she could do was wait for them to finish. The storage room door slams shut, leaving Joyce alone in the hallway, looking totally shocked. The storage room door creaks open and Sydney comes out. Joyce is totally shocked, calling out her name. With a dark expression, Sydney says, "T-Sich, she's no match for me," and then tells Joyce, "Let's go." Sydney tells her, "It's all over." Joyce looks at Sydney's face and asks if she's okay, but Sydney just says she's fine. Joyce is completely wide-eyed and shocked, unable to process what she's seeing. Inside the storage room, Mia is on her knees, looking completely defeated. We see a close-up of Mia's face, bruised and bloody. It's a shocking sight, and Joyce shivers in terror. She narrates to herself, wondering why Mia's face looks so familiar. The entire school is buzzing after hearing Mia lost. Everyone is saying Sydney is now on top, with some people relieved since Mia was so scary. But others say Sydney is also a force to be reckoned with. Joyce is seen tending to Sydney's wounds in the nurse's office. Sydney is worried they aren't supposed to be there, but Joyce insists she needs to get treated, even commenting that she surprised Sydney is capable of something like this. Joyce, in a moment of despair, questions why Sydney had to fight in the first place. Sydney is totally heated, yelling at Joyce that Mia kept going after her. She says even though Joyce didn't tell her, she knew they ganged up on her a few days ago. Grabbing Joyce's hand, Sydney tells her that Mia promised she'd keep her hands off her, that she won't bother her anymore. Joyce is grateful, but seems hesitant. Sydney then hugs Joyce's arm, as if to reassure her. Still holding Joyce, Sydney tells her that since Mia is gone, she's the only one Joyce has left. She tells her to ignore anyone who believes the rumors and to stay with me till the end. Joyce's face goes from calm to shocked as she processes Sydney's words. Joyce narrates that she found out later that Sydney's and Mia's gangs were actually rival gangs at their school. In a flashback, Mia confronts Sydney in the school hallway, but Sydney just looks away. The narrator explains that for some reason, Sydney didn't react to Mia's taunts. And because of that, people at school thought Sydney was actually afraid of Mia. Joyce is shown walking and smiling happily with Sydney. She explains that Sydney ended up fighting Mia all because of her. Joyce continues to narrate, saying that she still doesn't get why Sydney cared about her so much. We get a close-up of Joyce's happy face, showing that things seem to be looking up for her. She goes on to say that because of what happened that day, she really thought her life was about to get way easier. A new character, who sounds a lot like Sydney, is enraged by the graffiti, asking who would do something so horrible. Joyce's happy moment is paused when she sees a wall covered in hateful graffiti. She's totally shocked and speechless. The graffiti is revealed to be full of insults about her, like fake liar and die, while someone tried to defend her, saying the haters are just jealous. Joyce narrates that despite everything, the bad rumors about her kept spreading throughout the entire school. Joyce is left alone, huddled in her bed, totally terrified. Her heart drops as a rock smashes through her window. Joyce hears muffled voices outside her room yelling, "Go! Go! Run!" followed by a terrifying laugh. Her face is filled with despair as a tear rolls down her cheek, showing how much the bullying is affecting her. Joyce gets out of bed and looks at the rock and the hateful message. The rock that smashed through her window lands on her bed with a hateful word written on it. We see a close-up of her face, and the word throb is written next to it, showing how much pain she's in. Joyce narrates that the bullying got pretty serious. We see a wider shot of the bathroom, showing that the bullies are hiding behind the stall doors. Joyce is in the bathroom, looking sad and alone. Out of nowhere, someone splashes her with water, yelling, "Oh, P.S." My hand slipped. Joyce is shocked, letting out a yelp. After getting splashed, Joyce is seen sitting on the toilet as her bullies laugh at her. A close-up of Joyce shows her crying, completely defeated. Sydney finds out and is totally mad, yelling that she needs to kill them all. Joyce looks exhausted and says she doesn't know why they're doing this to her. Joyce, looking completely broken, asks Sydney why everyone hates her. Sydney tells her it's because they're all just jealous that she's pretty. Sydney pulls Joyce into a hug, telling her to think of it as paying for her good looks and promising to find and kill the people who did it. Joyce just looks down, unable to say anything. Joyce narrates that Sydney's comforting felt like a moment of hope, but her life didn't get better, it only got worse. We see Joyce sitting alone at lunch with a piece of food on her shoulder, showing the bullying is still happening. Other students are shown gossiping and laughing about Joyce. They're making fun of her, calling her the leftover girl, and suggesting they should dump more food on her. The students follow through with their plan to bully Joyce, and we see a piece of food land on her shoulder as a voice says, "Here you go. Have mine too." We see a close-up of Joyce's face as she breaks down, crying and begging them to please stop. Tay looks on from the side, looking pained and unsure of what to do as he hears other students laughing. As Joyce is walking away, she hears footsteps behind her. The steps stop, and a voice says, "Hey." Joyce looks up to see Mia, who has a bandage on her face, and tells Joyce, "We need to talk." Joyce is left speechless. Mia then says she was going to ignore it all, but now she feels like she has to say what she's got to say. Joyce asks what it is. We see Mia and Joyce sitting in a park at night. As Mia explains, she wants to tell her why she tried to bring Joyce to her side and why she kept getting in Sydney's way. Mia finishes her thought, saying she also wants to tell her what Sydney was really like back in middle school. Joyce, looking sad but determined Mia, tells Joyce she'll explain everything. She goes on to say she was a total nerd with top grades and was even the class president. Mia narrates a flashback explaining that back in middle school, she had a lot of friends and a pretty easy time. Everything changed when, during her second year, she was seated next to Sydney. Sydney compliments Mia's looks, saying she thought she was wearing lipstick, but Mia denies it and says Sydney is prettier. Mia narrates that Sydney was super bright and outgoing, and they became friends really fast. Mia goes on to say that before she knew it, they were best friends. She finishes by saying she didn't know Sydney's true face back then. Mia narrates that Sydney always hung out with problematic kids after school who drank and smoked. She goes on to say that Sydney wanted her to join her clique, and she had no choice but to hang out with them for a bit. Mia remembers seeing the kids yell at people, looking like demons to her, and she decides that she wants nothing to do with them. Mia finally confronts Sydney, saying she doesn't want to hang out with her anymore and that she hates this. Sydney tries to get her to stay, saying, "Don't do this, Mia." But Mia walks away, telling her no, and that she'll see her at school. The narrator explains she told Sydney before it was too late, and that Sydney knew she couldn't be convinced. The narrator says that after that day, her life at school completely changed. A carton of milk is suddenly dumped on her head, with a whack sound effect, and she yelps. Mia, surrounded by milk cartons on the floor, looks absolutely furious and yells, "Who threw this? I'm going to kill you when I find out." In the background, her bullies laugh at her. Mia discovers a hateful note on her desk with insults like moron and die. She looks totally confused, asking herself, "What's all this?" Mia is shown standing alone, soaking wet, as students whisper and laugh at her. We see her shoes dripping with milk with a drip sound effect. Mia concludes this chapter of her life, saying she became the most famous loser in school and couldn't do anything to fix it. She is later shown huddled on the floor, crying her eyes out. She narrates, asking herself why she has to live like an outcast. The narrator, Mia, is sitting all alone in a hallway when a group of girls, Sydney's clique, walks out of her room. She explains that she happened to overhear their conversation. We get to see the actual conversation. One of Sydney's friends excitedly asks if she did a good job, and Sydney laughs, saying Mia deserves even worse, and tells her to think of a more creative way to bully her tomorrow. Mia then reveals that Sydney was behind all the bullying because she stopped hanging out with her. Mia explains that she was so furious that she charged at Sydney, yelling at her. Mia finishes her story, saying she couldn't beat Sydney because she was always with her gang, and she ended up getting beaten up even more. Mia, looking beaten up and on the floor, realizes that she's been set up and confronts Sydney, telling her, "You're the one who did this." Sydney just smirks and tells Mia that she didn't do anything and that people are bullying her because they don't like her. Mia narrates that she couldn't take the bullying anymore and decided to go to a new school. With a determined look on her face, she says that's when she promised herself that since she had nothing to lose, she'd get her revenge no matter what. We then see her in her current school with her new clique as she explains she thought it would be fine to hang out with the type of people she hated the most as long as she got her revenge. Mia explains that she forced herself to become one of the problematic kids and waited for the day to meet Sydney again to get her revenge. The story comes full circle as Mia explains that they were finally face to face again, ready to settle things once and for all. She goes on to explain that when they finally met again in high school, Sydney heard about Mia's rumors and gang, so she couldn't mess with her. Mia narrates, explaining that she was just waiting for a chance to totally crush Sydney. Then she explains Joyce showed up. We cut back to Joyce, who is left speechless and terrified, whispering to herself, I had no idea." Mia then explains her motivation for trying to get close to Joyce in the first place, saying that she could tell Joyce was going to be Sydney's next target, so she tried to force her into her group to protect her. Joyce, with a look of total shock and disbelief, asks if Sydney was behind it all and if she's being bullied because of her. Mia confirms it, telling her, "Yes, you stupid bitch." She then explains that Sydney is evil and tortures her prey by using bad rumors and people around her. She asks Mia why she would do that to her, and Mia gives a cold answer, saying it would have been great if there was a reason, but Sydney just does that if she's not happy with someone. Joyce, with tears in her eyes, says, "No way. And I don't believe this. Why would she?" We see a close-up of Joyce's devastated face as she realizes that the person she thought was her hero was the one tormenting her all along. Mia then explains that looking at Joyce reminded her of her middle school years, and she really wanted to bring her to her side, even if it meant threatening her. As she leaves, she tells Joyce, "This is all I can do for you. That bitch won, and I don't want to waste my time anymore." Joyce is left speechless. Mia apologizes for hitting Joyce, then says she just wanted to tell her everything before she quit school. Mia's words echo in her mind. "Don't turn out like me, okay?" After Mia leaves, Joyce sits on the bench and clenches her fists, trying to process everything she just heard. Close-up of Joyce's determined face, filled with a new sense of purpose. Joyce's expression turns from sadness to rage as she says, "Then, I won't forgive her." We then see a karaoke place as Sydney says she didn't expect Joyce to ask her to go to karaoke first and asks if they're going to have fun all night. Joyce walks up to Sydney and tells her there's something she'd like to talk to her about. Sydney's expression is one of complete shock and confusion as she asks, "Huh? What did you just say?" Joyce gets straight to the point, looking Sydney dead in the eye and asking if she was behind all the rumors and bullying. Sydney, caught off guard, looks away, asking what on earth Joyce is talking about. But Joyce keeps pushing, yelling, "Tell me the truth. Was it all you?" The tension is clear in their faces, showing Joyce's terror and determination as Sydney gets super defensive. Sydney is completely taken aback, simply saying Joyce's name in disbelief. Her expression then turns dark, and she says, "Wow, did you just yell at me? And who do you think you are?" Sydney then completely flips out on Joyce, revealing that she hung out with her even though she knew she was dating older guys and lying about studying overseas. She yells at Joyce, asking how she has the nerve to yell at her. Joyce's face fills with a devastating realization as she whispers, "So it was you. It was all you." Sydney completely loses it and yells, "What the fuck are you talking about, you fucking slut?" at Joyce. Joyce, looking absolutely furious, screams, "You," while her hand reaches out to grab a tambourine. Joyce's face is filled with a furious determination, and she lunges forward to attack Sydney. With a fast grab, Sydney catches a hold of Joyce's hand to stop her from attacking. Sydney, holding the tambourine, tells Joyce that she's seriously going to hit her with it. Joyce then screams at Sydney, demanding to know the reason for all the bullying. Sydney then raises her hand, ready to strike, and yells, "Ugh, you're fucking annoying." Joyce, after being hit, clenches her jaw as she endures the pain. Suddenly, we see people pointing and gossiping as the fight escalates. One person says, "I told you it's Sydney and Joyce." The door opens, and some dudes walk out, totally surprised to see Joyce and Sydney fighting. They're like, "What's going on?" Then, someone gets a slap to the head. Sydney hides behind a guy and starts crying, telling everyone to help her because Joyce is acting so weird. We see a close-up of Joyce's face. She's completely speechless and bewildered by Sydney's betrayal. Sydney, now with the guy's attention, continues her performance. She tells them that Joyce suddenly yelled at her and tried to hit her with the tambourine. The guys immediately start to question Joyce. Joyce is left standing there, completely speechless, still holding the tambourine. She looks at Sydney and can only get out, "Sydney, you're so..." Sydney hugs one of the guys, Tay, and cries that she's scared. Tay, without knowing what's really going on, tells Joyce to calm down. The tambourine drops from Joyce's hand with a loud clang. Joyce is left standing there, completely speechless and in disbelief. We see Sydney, still pretending to cry, being led away by her friends. One of the guys says Joyce is really pissed, and they leave her all alone. Joyce finally understood the truth of her situation. Joyce is left heartbroken and devastated, crying as she asks Sydney, "How could you?" In that moment, she realizes why Mia looked so familiar to her back then. It's because Mia's face, bruised and defeated, looked exactly like she felt. She had been seeing a reflection of her own pain all along. A wider shot shows the night sky with her sobs echoing. Joyce is shown standing, with her shoulders slumped, hunched over and crying. In the end, Joyce narrates, she just ran away like a total fool because she didn't have the guts to fight back like Mia did. We see a close-up of Joyce's face as she breaks down, narrating that she didn't have the courage to ever go back to that school. The school is buzzing with gossip. Students are spreading rumors about Joyce, saying she's a repeat student who provoked Sydney, got beaten up, and quit school. More students talk about Joyce, saying how dare she, calling her a psycho with no friends and being glad she's gone. Sydney's friends are all over her, telling her she's so nice and asking why she even bothered to hang out with someone like Joyce. Sydney gives a fake, humble reaction, saying she just wanted to keep Joyce company because she didn't want her to be alone. She then reveals that Joyce dropped out of school. Other students are shown talking smack about Joyce, saying she tried to hit on Taylor, and that they're glad they won't have to see her stupid face anymore. We see a close-up of a guy, looking conflicted and suspicious, as if he's not buying Sydney's story. The scene opens with a shot of the sky outside Joyce's house, showing that some time has passed since she left school. Joyce's aunt, Kelly, asks her if it was hard for her to leave school. Joyce, looking defeated, apologizes to her, saying, "I'm so sorry to disappoint you, Kelly." At the dinner table, Joyce's aunt and cousin are talking to her about her plans now that she's out of school. She tells them she's going to study for exams and work on her English. Joyce's cousin, hearing she quit school, yells at his mom that he wants to quit too. His mom gets totally mad and tells him to go to cram school instead. The boy yells that he doesn't want to go to school, while Joyce sits in silence, eating her meal. We then get a close-up of Joyce's teary face as she says, "Yeah, I don't need school to have a life." We see Joyce's aunt and cousin, both of whom look worried and sad. Close-up of Joyce's face as she cries and thinks to herself, "I thought I'd be okay." A torn photo of Joyce and her friends from her old school is shown. She narrates that she was perfectly fine back then. Joyce is in her room, yelling at a photo of Sydney as she throws things in a fit of rage and despair. We see a pamphlet for Smart Prenatal Education, hinting at a shocking twist. A close-up shows Joyce is completely broken down, still sobbing with HIC sounds. Joyce is shown screaming and sobbing as she clutches her stomach, revealing that she is pregnant. The scene is a flashback to March 2017, showing us what happened in the past. We see Joyce in a building called Future English, being interviewed. The interviewer is looking over her file, saying her scores are good and that she has been to Canada. The interviewer then focuses on Joyce's looks, saying, "I love that perfectly balanced look of yours." A younger, but still professional, Joyce is shown with a neat ponytail, politely saying, "Thank you, ma'am." The interviewer then challenges Joyce, saying her level of education isn't competitive, and asks what she thinks about that. Joyce, now super confident, says she's qualified to teach English, explaining that she gained better experience overseas and that good colleges don't always mean good experience. The interviewer looks a little impressed by Joyce's strong opinion, but Joyce politely apologizes if her attitude offended her. The interviewer gives Joyce a sly look, seemingly impressed by her strong answer. The interviewer then smiles and tells Joyce, "All right, you got the job. I look forward to working with you." Joyce, in total shock, stands up and asks if the interview is really over. The interviewer just smiles, asking why. "Do you want more?" Joyce is super surprised she got the job and says that she wasn't expecting it since other places always turned her down because of her level of education. The interviewer gets serious and tells Joyce that even though she got the job easily, it's not going to be an easy one. She reveals her true goal, to beat Heaven School. With a dramatic point out the window, the interviewer reveals that Heaven School is right next door and yells, "We will beat that cram school of capitalism with endless passion and effort." The interviewer points to the Heaven School building and asks Joyce if she can do that for them, officially giving her the challenge. Confident Joyce, with her hair in a ponytail, smiling and saying, "Yes, ma'am, I'll do my best." Joyce is then shown with a new, confident smile, saying to herself, "I can change." We then see a close-up of Joyce's eye with a determined look as she says, "No, I will change." Joyce narrates that 9 years ago, because she suddenly dropped out of school, she had to go through a painful time of her life at a young age. A younger Joyce sitting alone in a small room, hunched over a desk, studying. She continues to narrate, saying that unlike the school life she dreamed of, the one she got turned out to be a total nightmare. Now mature Joyce, walking with a bag that says English is not easy, showing that she used her past trauma as a motivation to succeed. Joyce narrates that she didn't want to give up, so she studied hard every time she thought of Sydney. We see a younger Joyce in a classroom, studying with fierce determination. Joyce narrates that she swore to herself she would one day show Sydney that she was doing perfectly fine. She passed her exams and focused on studying English, which she was really good at. We then get a visual of Joyce working those 2 part-time jobs, one at a milk delivery and the other at a store. She then says she worked 2 part-time jobs and saved up money to study overseas. When she turned 24, she left for Canada. We see a visual of Joyce working as a cleaner in a restaurant, showing how hard she worked while she was in Canada. She narrates that she worked more than she studied, but that it was a good experience that helped her become a little more mature. Time passed, and she was able to overcome her traumatic memories of Sydney and fulfill her dream. We then see Joyce in front of class, smiling and pointing at the board, telling them to repeat after me. Joyce is shown teaching a small group of students. A thought bubble says, "An English teacher. My only dream." Joyce gives a big, happy smile and narrates that she finally thought her life was back on track again. Joyce is shown as a confident teacher at Future English, wrapping up her class and telling her students to do their homework. Her boss tells her that she's adapted really well during her first month and that she looks a lot happier now than when they first met. The boss then says that when she first met Joyce, she looked like a soulless doll, but now she looks very human, which leaves Joyce surprised. Joyce, with a shocked and slightly worried look, responds, "Ah, really?" The boss tells Joyce that in this business, the person who lasts the longest wins. Joyce bows and says she'll do her best. The boss then tells Joyce to get her the usual and to not forget to glare at the Heaven School teachers. Okay. We then get a close-up of Joyce's face, which then cuts to a close-up of the Heaven School logo, hinting that this new chapter in her life won't be as easy as she thought. The scene opens with a shot of the cafe, where Joyce is getting her boss's usual order. Joyce's colleague says she thinks it's unfair that Joyce, as the newest teacher, has to get the boss's coffee every day, especially since she doesn't even drink it. But Joyce says she's okay with it, because it gives her an excuse to get fresh air. Inside the cafe, Joyce and her colleague are at the counter, and the barista asks for their order. Joyce and her colleague are at a cafe, where the colleague is pointing at the screen and ordering a 13-ounce double espresso in a takeaway cup for their director. The colleague continues to order a super long and complicated drink, which leaves everyone completely shook. The colleague then finishes the order by saying she doesn't need a cup holder and that she wants a receipt, revealing that the director is super picky. Meanwhile, a person is shown looking over them from behind, seemingly listening to their conversation. As Joyce and her colleague leave the cafe, the colleague says it must have been so hard to ask for such a complicated order, and a guy is shown following them from behind. The guy gets their attention and says, "Excuse me." He then removes his hat and says, "Oh, it is you, Joyce." Joyce is left completely shocked, with her eyes wide open, and asks, why you're Taylor?" Taylor is super happy to see Joyce again, telling her, "I can't believe you didn't forget my name. It's so nice to see you again, Joyce." We see a close-up of Joyce's shocked face as she awkwardly says hi. Her colleague is whispering to her, "Who's this hottie?" They sit down and catch up. Taylor says he thought she left town, and Joyce awkwardly says she didn't really go outside for a while. Taylor congratulates Joyce on her new job as a teacher, telling her that his office is in the same building as the coffee shop. He reveals that he makes figurines for a living. Joyce, a little surprised, asks about the figurines, and Taylor explains that he promised himself he would do something he loved, even if his parents didn't approve. He continues, saying that he's always loved playing with clay, and that even though his job doesn't make a lot of money, he's a lot happier than he used to be. Super awkward silence. He's looking at her, and she's looking away. You could just feel the tension. They both know something's off. She's trying to play it off, saying, well, I'm glad you're happy. But her expression is giving away the whole thing. She's super flustered and a little sad. She can't handle it anymore. She just blurts out, anyway, it was nice seeing you again. I need to go to class, so... He calls out to her again and then just goes for it. He asks for her number, totally nervous, saying they might not see each other again. She just stares at him, completely surprised. The silence is deafening. She's thinking it over, probably 100 different thoughts at once. He starts to panic, wondering if he just got rejected. But she says yes. She gives him her number, all while trying to tell herself it's no big deal. He's so excited and thanks her, promising a text. We get a quick shot of the building, setting the scene at her English academy. She's at a desk, but she's totally checked out. She's thinking about him, remembering his name, Taylor Kahn. Now we get the full story. She's stressing because she's sure he remembers all the old, fake rumors about her. She's worried about how awkward it would be to finally tell him the whole thing was a lie. She's having a full-on moment. With her head in her hands, she's wondering why she had to run into him, saying it's bringing all her nightmares back. We cut to the real source of the drama, her old best friend, Sydney. It's clear from her super dark look that she's the one who gave Joyce all those nightmares. She tries to talk herself out of it, telling herself to stop thinking about the past because it doesn't matter anymore. Now we see Joyce, annoyed and tired of the whole thing. She thinks to herself, yes, it's all in the past. She's trying to move on, but it's clear no one else is. The scene cuts to a new location with a quick transition shot of a building. Taylor is on the phone with a friend, talking about their run-in. He's totally hyped, saying how she's still just as pretty as he remembers, maybe even prettier. Taylor's friend is on the phone, bringing up all the rumors that used to go around about her. He then starts teasing Taylor, saying he must have been in love with her all this time, since seeing her made him so happy. The friend gets even messier, bringing up a specific and nasty rumor about her dating an old guy. Taylor immediately gets embarrassed and tries to shut him down. But the friend isn't done. He keeps going, saying he's just stating facts and pointing out how crazy it is that someone with her rumored past is now a teacher. Taylor is on the phone with his friend, begging him to come help out at the figurine factory over the weekend. He's short-staffed, and his friend reluctantly agrees, but only if Taylor pays him. We see high heels clicking down from room. It's building up to something. Taylor quickly hangs up, saying he has to go. After hanging up, Taylor is left to process what his friend just said. He sighs, looking totally drained by the conversation. He can't get the rumors out of his head. He's just stuck on the nasty parts like bar hostess and dating old guys. It all comes down to this. He's now wondering how much of that stuff is actually true. He's totally torn. The mystery person is revealed. It's Sydney. She's Taylor's manager, and she is not happy. She confronts him for being on his phone, and Taylor is totally shocked. Sydney is fuming, asking him why he wasn't at the factory at 7. It's clear she's the one in charge, and she's not messing around. Taylor is completely flustered and apologizes, saying he totally forgot. He's definitely in her bad books now. Sydney is all over Taylor, grabbing his arm and telling him to hurry up because she's hungry. He just gives in, clearly annoyed. Sydney gets nosy and asks him who he was on the phone with. Taylor reluctantly answers it was Quagmire. Sydney doesn't believe Taylor's act. She gets super suspicious and straight up accuses him of hiding something from her. He nervously tries to deny it and get away. She gets even more intense, looking down at him with a creepy smile and telling him not to ever hide anything from her. He's clearly intimidated and just nervously agrees. A quick split panel shows her devious smile and his terrified face. It perfectly sums up their messed up dynamic.